The strange thing is that at the time, none of us thought anything was wrong. Looking back now, that's the part that bothers me the most. Not the screaming, not the lockdown, not even the blood on the floor later that day. It's the fact that all the warning signs were there, scattered across weeks, maybe months, and every single one of us ignored them, because ignoring things is what people are best at when nothing bad has happened yet. The school had always felt ordinary, not safe, not dangerous, just a place you passed through 5 days a week without thinking about it. A concrete building with too many hallways, too many doors, and classrooms that all smelled faintly of cleaning solution and old books. The kind of place where every sound blended into the background until you stopped noticing any of them. That started to change sometime in early spring. It wasn't dramatic at first, just small disruptions that were easy to explain away. A classroom door left unlocked in the morning when it should have been sealed overnight. A flickering hallway light that took weeks to get replaced. The loudspeaker system crackling during announcements, cutting in and out as if someone were breathing too close to the microphone. The administration blamed outdated wiring. Everyone accepted that explanation. A few teachers complained that the security cameras near the older wing of the building weren't working properly. Sometimes they froze, sometimes they showed empty hallways when someone was clearly standing there. IT said the footage was corrupted. The cameras were old, replacements were on the way. They never came. Around the same time, one of the janitors quit without notice. He didn't give 2 weeks, didn't leave a note, just stopped showing up. Someone joked that he probably found a better job. Someone else said he'd been acting strange toward the end, jumping at noises, refusing to clean certain storage rooms near the back stairwell. No one followed up on that either. Rumors started quietly, the way they always do. Half whispers during lunch, comments muttered in passing between classes. Someone said they'd heard footsteps in the building after hours when they stayed late for sports practice. Someone else claimed they'd seen a man standing near the fence one morning before school, watching students arrive without moving or blinking. Security escorted him away. They said he was a parent waiting for pickup. No report was filed. The first time I noticed something myself, I didn't even realize it mattered. It was during second period, a week before everything happened. The loudspeaker clicked on mid-sentence while our teacher was talking. Just a brief crackle, static. The sound of something adjusting, like fingers brushing against a microphone. The teacher stopped and looked up, annoyed. No announcement followed. After a few seconds, the sound cut out. Class resumed. Nobody mentioned it again. Later that same day, during lunch, the loudspeaker crackled again, longer this time, enough for people to look around, confused. Some kids laughed, thinking it was a prank. Others booed, expecting a reminder about cafeteria rules or an assembly. Nothing came. The silence that followed felt heavier than the noise. The administration sent out an email that evening apologizing for technical difficulties and assuring everyone the system was being repaired. That night, I dreamed about the sound. Just the click, over and over. No voice, no announcement, just the sense that something was waiting on the other end of it. I woke up with my heart racing and laughed it off. Bad dreams happen, stress, homework, too much caffeine. The next day, a substitute teacher covered one of our classes. She was young, nervous, and kept glancing toward the hallway like she expected someone to appear. Halfway through the period, she stopped teaching altogether and stood by the door, listening. After class, I heard her arguing with a security guard. She said there had been a man standing at the end of the hallway staring into her classroom the entire period, not moving, not knocking, just watching. Security told her no one was assigned to that area. She didn't come back the next day. By then, the people were starting to joke about it, about the hallway guy, about the broken cameras, about the creepy loudspeaker. Jokes are easier than questions, and everyone knew it. I knew it too. The day before the lockdown, the sound came back one last time. It was early morning, before most students had arrived. I was sitting in homeroom, half awake, scrolling through my phone. The loudspeaker clicked on so softly that at first I thought I imagined it. Then it crackled, and for just a second, less than a second, I heard breathing. Not static, breathing. Someone else must have heard it too, because a girl across the room looked up sharply, her face pale. Then it stopped. The teacher complained to the front office, maintenance was called, the loudspeaker was tested, announcements were made. Everything appeared normal. By lunchtime, the incident had already been forgotten. That was the pattern. Something strange would happen, explanations would be given, and life would continue. Because nothing truly bad has happened yet. The morning of the lockdown felt normal in that deceptive way. Tuesday, overcast, the kind of dull gray day that made everything feel slightly unreal. No announcements, no drills, no unusual security presence, just another day to get through. History class after lunch. I remember the smell of disinfectant mixed with cafeteria food lingering in the air. Someone tapping a pen behind me. Someone else tearing paper into tiny pieces and stuffing them into their backpack. The teacher talking about treaties and timelines. I was watching the clock. 18 minutes left. That's when the loudspeaker clicked. Not loudly, not aggressively, just enough. The teacher stopped mid-sentence. Every sound in the room died at once. We all waited for the announcement that usually followed. Instead, there was a pause, longer than usual. Then the vice principal's voice came through the speakers. Attention all staff. This is not a drill. Initiate lockdown procedures immediately. He paused. This is not a drill. The words felt wrong in the air. Too careful, too measured. The teacher didn't hesitate. He shut off the lights, locked the door, and dragged a desk across the floor. He didn't explain. He didn't reassure us. His silence said more than any speech could. We were pushed towards the back of the room, away from the windows, away from the door. Someone whispered, "What's going on?" No one answered. The building went quiet in a way I'd never heard before. No announcements, no footsteps, no distant chatter, just the sound of breathing. Too many people breathing in too small a space. And then, from somewhere down the hallway, came a sound that made my blood run cold. Laughter. Low, uneven. Not happy, not angry. Just laughter. The laughter didn't sound close at first. It echoed faintly, distorted by distance and walls, like it was bouncing around corners instead of moving in a straight line. For a moment, my brain tried to rationalize it. Someone laughing nervously, someone else panicking, a student breaking down under stress. But it didn't stop. It lingered. The sound drifted closer, then faded, then returned again, never quite following a pattern. It wasn't rushed. Whoever it was didn't seem scared. If anything, the pace felt deliberate, almost casual. We sat pressed together on the floor, knees touching, backs against cabinets. The teacher crouched near the door, one hand braced against the desk he dragged into place. His eyes were fixed on the handle, unblinking. Someone's phone buzzed. The sound cut through the silence like a gunshot. Every head snapped toward it. The owner froze, fumbling in panic before silencing it. The screen briefly lit up their face, pale and shaking, before disappearing back into a pocket. The teacher hissed under his breath for everyone to stay still. The laughter stopped. That was worse. Footsteps replaced it. Slow, uneven, heavy enough to be an adult's. Each step echoed clearly now, no longer distorted by distance. Whoever was in the hallway was close enough that we could hear the rubber soles scraping lightly against the tile. A door handle rattled, not violently, just enough to test it. Then another, then another. Each click felt closer than the last. Someone near me started whispering numbers under their breath. 1, 2, 3, over and over again, like they were trying to anchor themselves to something solid. The footsteps stopped outside our classroom. I felt the pressure of it immediately, like the air itself had thickened. The door handle moved. Once, twice. It didn't turn. He didn't push. There was a pause. Then a voice came from the other side of the door. Quiet, calm, almost conversational. "I know you're in there." A girl next to me sucked in a sharp breath and clamped her hands over her mouth. Her shoulders shook as silent tears streamed down her face. The teacher dropped lower, gesturing urgently for us to stay down, stay quiet. The handle moved again, slower this time, testing. Then the man knocked. Not pounding, not aggressive, just 3 slow knocks. The sound felt impossibly loud. No one answered. Another pause followed, long enough that my legs started to cramp, long enough that my heart felt like it might beat itself out of my chest. Then his fist slammed into the door without warning. The impact rattled the frame. Someone screamed. He screamed too, raw, furious, unrestrained. The sound echoed down the hallway, bouncing off walls, filling the entire wing of the building. I pressed my face into my knees, ears ringing, convinced the door would give way. It didn't. The footsteps moved on. We didn't move. We didn't speak. We waited. Seconds stretched into minutes, minutes blurred together. Every tiny noise, a shifting foot, a suppressed cough, felt like a mistake that could get us killed. Then the loudspeaker clicked. The sound made several people flinch violently. At first, there was nothing, just static, the faint hiss of an open channel. Then breathing, heavy, ragged, close to the microphone. Someone in the front office hadn't shut the system down. The breathing went on for several seconds, each inhale slow and deliberate, each exhale trembling slightly, like the person was savoring the moment. Then the man spoke. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't threaten anyone. He talked like he was explaining something important. He said he used to be a student here, said he sat in these classrooms, walked these hallways, listened to these same announcements. Said he asked for help once, twice, more than that. Said he was ignored every time. His voice wavered between calm and bitterness. He said the school taught him something important, that being quiet didn't get you noticed. So today, he wasn't going to be quiet. The microphone buzzed as he shifted his grip. He started naming people. Teachers first, last names only. Then security guards, office staff, people most of us didn't even know personally, but recognized by reputation. Each name landed like a weight. When he said our teacher's name, the room changed. Our teacher's hand slipped from the desk. His face drained of color and slowly lowered himself until he was sitting among us. No one said anything. No one needed to. The broadcast cut out abruptly, mid-sentence. Silence returned. A different kind this time. Sirens followed, faint at first, barely audible through the walls, then louder, then suddenly gone again, as if someone had closed a door between us and the outside world. Someone whispered that the police were here. Someone else whispered it didn't matter. We stayed on the floor. My legs were numb. My back ached. Sweat trickled down my spine despite the cool air. A girl asked in a trembling voice if she could go to the bathroom. Another student snapped at her to be quiet, then immediately apologized. At one point, footsteps returned, slower, heavier, dragging. They stopped somewhere nearby. Then came a sound I still don't have a good explanation for. A scream. Not yelling, not shouting. A sudden cut-off scream from an adult male. It ended abruptly, like someone had slammed a door on it. The silence afterwards felt endless. Eventually, a different voice came over the loudspeaker. Controlled, professional, trained. We were instructed to remain where we were until escorted, to keep our hands visible, to exit one at a time when told. The teacher stood shakily, unlocking the door only when security knocked and identified themselves multiple times. We were led into the hallway slowly, flanked by adults with radios and weapons I'd never seen in a school before. The building smelled wrong. Sweat, cleaning chemicals, something metallic. Near the stairwell, dark streaks marked the floor and wall. Blood. Not a lot, not a scene from a movie, just enough. We passed. No one looked directly at it, but everyone saw it. We were escorted outside into the cold air, where rows of police cars lined the street. Parents stood behind barricades, faces pale, phones pressed to their ears. Someone vomited on the sidewalk. That was when I realized my hands were shaking so badly, I couldn't stop them. Final part, after the lockdown. They told us it was over, not all at once, not clearly. The truth came in fragments, filtered through adults who had clearly been instructed to say as little as possible. We were kept outside for over an hour, standing in uneven clusters along the sidewalk, while police officers moved back and forth behind the tape, radios pressed to their shoulders, eyes scanning the crowd as if they expected something else to happen. Parents arrived in waves. Some were crying, some were angry, some looked completely empty, like their bodies were moving on autopilot while their minds lagged behind. Names were called through megaphones. One by one, students were released, checked off lists, returned to their families like misplaced belongings. No one answered questions. When my name was called, my mother wrapped her arms around me so tightly it knocked the breath out of my chest. I stood there stiffly for a second before hugging her back. My arms felt slow, disconnected. My eyes kept drifting past her shoulder toward the school building, half expecting to see movement in one of the darkened windows. Nothing moved. On the drive home, the radio was already talking about it. A security scare, a mentally unstable individual, no confirmed weapon. The words repeated over and over, delivered calmly by voices that hadn't been there, voices that hadn't heard the laughter or the breathing through the loudspeaker. At home, I sat on my bed fully dressed, staring at the wall for nearly an hour. My phone vibrated non-stop, group chats filled with speculation, screenshots of messages, rumors contradicting each other every few seconds. A teacher had been attacked. No, a student. No, it was just a drill gone wrong. Nobody knew anything, and everyone claimed they did. That evening, the administration sent out an email. It thanked everyone for their cooperation, praised law enforcement, reassured parents that the situation had been handled quickly and effectively. It reminded students that counseling services were available for anyone who felt emotionally impacted. There was no mention of blood, no mention of names, no mention of the loudspeaker. The next day, local news ran a brief segment, 15 seconds of footage, police cars outside the school, a blurry shot of students being escorted away, a reporter calling it an isolated incident. The man was never shown. 2 days later, classes were officially canceled for the rest of the week. The building was declared secure. Parents were encouraged to keep their children home and focus on recovery. Recovery from what, exactly, was never explained. By the following Monday, the story solidified. There was a man. He was unstable. He was unarmed. He was detained without serious injury. That version was repeated by administrators, teachers, and police alike. Any variation was corrected. Any question that pushed too far was gently redirected. But the cracks were already there. A student whose parent worked in emergency services mentioned that paramedics had treated an officer at the scene for a deep cut. Stitches were involved. Someone else shared a photo of a stairwell floor with dark streaks on it, taken before everyone was ushered outside. The image circulated briefly, then disappeared. Then there was the video. It surfaced late at night, shared privately instead of publicly. A shaky clip filmed from inside a car. It showed police escorting a man out of the building, head down, hands cuffed behind his back. In his hand, barely visible, was a knife. Not large, not dramatic, just a kitchen knife. By morning, the video was gone. No takedown notice, no explanation, just gone. The administration addressed it indirectly. Another email warned against spreading misinformation and reminded students to rely on verified sources. No one mentioned the knife. When school finally reopened, it felt wrong immediately. The lights were brighter. The halls smelled aggressively of disinfectant. Security guards stood at every entrance, hands resting near their radios, eyes constantly moving. Teachers smiled too much, spoke too softly. We were told to resume normal routines. Normal didn't exist anymore. Every door closing made people flinch. Every raised voice sent a ripple of tension through the room. When the loudspeaker was used, entire classes froze mid-motion. They tried to fix it. Technicians came in off hours. Announcements were tested. The system worked, mostly. But sometimes, without warning, it clicked. No announcement followed, just the click. Teachers learned to pause when it happened, to wait a few seconds before continuing, letting the silence stretch until everyone could breathe again. Counselors' offices filled quickly. Some talked, some refused. One transferred schools entirely. Another stopped showing up, complaining of headaches and stomach pain doctors couldn't explain. Rumors never stopped, they just changed shape. Some said the man had accessed the loudspeaker deliberately. Some said he'd worked in the building years ago. Some whispered about missing footage and doors that should have been locked, but weren't. Teachers avoided the subject. Assemblies shut down questions. The school board held a closed meeting. Nothing official ever came out of it. Months passed. Outwardly, things improved. Security relaxed. The news cycle moved on. Laughter returned to the halls, quieter than before. But something stayed broken. I noticed it in the way people sat in classrooms, always aware of exits, in how teachers locked doors instinctively, even without instructions. And every time the loudspeaker clicked, my body reacted before my mind could catch up. Heart racing, muscles tense, breath shallow. Waiting, always waiting. Because some things don't end when the doors unlock. Some things stay with you. And every time the system clicks on, even years later, a part of me still expects a voice to follow. Not to warn us, not to protect us, just simply to remind us how close it all really was.